Greetings and welcome to another Patch Notes discussion video here at Words About Games. Is where we're going to talk about, what are we talking about? Summer. So we're talking about the summer of gaming. It's 24 degrees. My brain can't function in this heat. It's not built to function in this heat.
It is pretty hot out there. There's no doubt about that.
And now I've started the intro. I've got that. I'm in that weird in between phase where I can feel the sneeze coming on, but it might not happen. But then it might happen like completely like out of the blue. So if I just suddenly headbutt my microphone, don't worry about it. We'll just keep going. We're talking about the summer of gaming here today on this discussion video. Myself and Moody and a couple of other people made a lot of really cool, really awesome predictions back in January. I'm going to bring them up later on. We're going to go back over the predictions that we all made because they're all bollocks now because the world fell apart. A lot of them had to do with E3, and E3's not happening anymore. But the spirit of E3 lives on. If what's coming up over the next few months is teaching us everything. Like we've got rumors of PlayStation are doing their thing, and there's new companies joining this Guerrilla Collective, and IGN have got this schedule up for like 2 weeks from now. So we figured it was probably about time to sit down, and if we were going to make predictions or just have a discussion and have thoughts about what we might see over the summer, now is the time to do it. Before things actually happen. Yeah. Like, the Wholesome Direct was amazing. By far the best show we've had so far this summer. Xbox didn't really do anything, like, prediction-worthy on their first outing. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I mean, you know what? You're getting our points if you ever predict anything to do with Assassin's Creed. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I'm expecting a lot of points when it gets reviewed brilliantly at the end of the year.
We've got the update video for that. Will be coming up in a few weeks because I wanted to do it after The Last of Us, because I think, looking at Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and the fact that the next game up for you is The Last of Us, I might not be in the lead.
Well, it might be closer than
it's going to be close. It's going to be close either way.
Please,
and then
come on, reviewers. You can do me good for The Last of Us.
And then hopefully what that means is everybody can shut up about my massive insurmountable lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was sat in the last update video, and Keith was like, well, you're so far ahead, no one's going to catch you. And I was just sitting there looking at you all this going, yeah, right, no one's going to catch me.
It's going to get poor score in it.
No, I can't see that happening.
Like, no.
I can't see that happening. But Last of Us isn't on our mind today.
Not after watching what I watched last night.
I haven't watched it yet. I will, though. I was streaming Resident Evil 3 at the time.
I was watching you.
I know. It was good, wasn't it? It was fun.
While watching She-Ra. No, it wasn't. I was watching Crizzle Mania on another YouTube channel, which we're not going to shout out at all.
No. I can stream PS1 games now.
Yes.
I might stream more because it was actually a lot of fun. But we're not here to talk about...
Do you think even worse of things, the Resident Evil 3 remake? Sorry for butting in.
That's fine. We're not here to talk about the past. We're not here to talk about imminently released video games. We're here to speculate on announcements, reveals. We're going to give our thoughts, our predictions, things that we think might happen, things that we desperately want to happen that probably won't. All sorts of things. I haven't seen Moody. There's no doc for this video. I haven't seen Moody's thoughts. Moody hasn't seen my thoughts.
Yeah,
we're going in completely blind. So
take our glasses off. We're going in blind.
Going in blind. No, I can't see. I can't actually see I can't actually see my notes anymore. But this. I think I said something about. But I've got a sort of structure to this. So we're going to talk about the big three console people first and everything we think around those, and then we'll move on to just talking about sort of general video game stuff. Normally this would be like an episode that would come out in the first week of June right before E3, but obviously everything's a bit more up in the air, and I think that makes it more exciting. Moody, there may or may not be a PlayStation reveal next week.
That is true. But when a more legitimate source is talking about it, we do pay a little bit more attention, you and me. So
Yeah, you said you said this thing's happening, and I said no, it's not. And then you said Jason said it's happening, and I went, oh, okay.
but Jason, well, he does put on the caveat: things could change.
Things can always change, but they're going to talk sometime over the summer. It might be next week. So. That's what spurred on us doing this now.
I thought I'd better put the caveat: Jason is talking about this.
So, what do you think?
It's actually his art.
Yeah, it's actually Jason Schreier of Bloomberg. But Jeff Grubb also said some stuff as well. Venture Pizza. He's also someone who's a legitimate source. But whenever it happens, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions? What are your feelings? What are your hopes and dreams? Give me everything.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a full blowout or anything like that, but I think they're going to going off like how Ghost of Tsushima gameplay went and The Last of Us gameplay went last night and everything. I think they've found a structure that's going to be really, really good to how they want to show their games, especially their exclusive games or first-party games. And I think they're going to do something like those type of things, but probably shorter, just because they wanted to move a nice little nice and breezy and everything. Will we see the console? I don't know about that. I'm hearing it's 50-50. I think people are thinking, could it happen? And everything like that. So that'd be very fascinating if they don't.
Yes. No. But, I mean, those are the answers.
That is true. Maybe. Who knows? They might show the beautiful controller anymore again.
Oh yeah,
they might show the camera for it this time.
Show a better color. For the controller.
Yeah, but it's exciting. Yeah, we've all been waiting for this one. Basically, if this is true, that is actually happening. Going off from, I want to give a shout out to Alana Pierce, who was on the Games Daily podcast yesterday with from Kind of Funny. She says that from the sources she knows, they were meant to do something earlier, but obviously with what's happened and everything, they've changed and they've tried to work things out to see how they wanted to do and everything. But also that
I think there's no way like if everything was as it stands, if everything was normal, there's no way PlayStation would have wanted to go the week before E3.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted to be anywhere near it, really. I think they wanted to do like their own thing. They probably might have wanted to do May.
Yeah, I think May was the plan, and now it's not the plan because it ends in like 2 days.
We'll never know until Jason Snyder digs it all up and puts it out on a Bloomberg article. There you go, Jason. Yeah. Go, get hunting.
Get going. No, stop writing that book. Get going.
Yeah.
I'm in a slightly different, but I think they do go all in because I don't think they're gonna want. And by all in, I don't mean like it's not gonna be the Conference of Dreams, right? Like they just you don't have that in you at the very first steps of a new generation. No one does ever, but I think they're gonna go all in with what they can because I don't think they're gonna do what Xbox is doing, where they're splitting. Xbox is almost like splitting a traditional E3 press conference into like 3 distinct pieces. I think they're
4 really, because they've had one this month, then it's June, then they're doing a big exclusives big first parties in July, and I think they're meant to do one in August because they did say 4 months. So
3, 4, whatever. They're not splitting it up. I think they'll have other events going forward. I don't think we'll learn the price of the PS5 in this first one. I think we'll see the box. But I think this is in terms of games, they're gonna go as big as they can with what they've got. In terms of both first party, second party, and third party. Like my first thought is, how many first parties do you think we'll see at the PlayStation reveal event?
Okay, let's have a look here. So I've got 1, 2.
Oh dear! Oh wow! He's listed them.
I think I've got. Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4 games I have on my list that are from their first parties. And I think we could see.
So what I think we'll see. He's being cagey. He's being coy. I like it. So
But
let
I
me go
also have
first.
something but I do have a couple of things that I think are not first party, but are going to be exclusive to them at the same time.
I think so. I think we'll see one major first party IP at this reveal event. Like, regardless of anything that happens further into the summer, where we might see more stuff. I think there'll be one to say maybe at the end of the event, just to say like and check like here's a glimpse into what we're making for our console, which I think will either be Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which is a weird title, or or Spider Man. Like I think it'll be one of those. I think one of those two are the closest. Like in terms of the big IP that we're waiting for, like Gear Horizons, God of War, Spider Man, stuff like that. I think
Yeah,
that's I think that's what we'll get. And I don't think we'll get anything like over this summer. Um, like anything else because they're still trying to sell Last of Us. They're still trying to sell Ghost of Tsushima, so they don't want to run that over with
that is true.
revealing God of War 2 or
I
5.
think instead of Spider-Man from Insomniac, I think it's possibly Ratchet and Clank 2. I think they want to launch with a family game, and I think there's a chance that one of those family. I think that if it's not that, I'm gonna say it, Knack 3.
Knack 3, it's on my list. You say Ratchet and Clank 2, and I was like, they're making Spider Man 2 because that was one of the fastest selling PS4 games
Oh,
ever.
no, I don't deny they're already doing that, but I think
Knack 3.
Ratchet and Clank was so successful for them. They've got two teams; they could be working on both of them.
Yeah, but I think Knack 3. I feel it. Moody, I feel it. When that came
Mhm.
out and nobody gave a shit because it wasn't very good, I thought that was done. It was done. It was the end of it. It was a nice little experiment, a nice little kids game, but we can move on now. And then Knack 2 came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and it was the same situation.
Yep.
Knack 3. Anyone that
Oh,
doesn't think they're
Matt,
making Knack 3 is crazy.
yeah,
It's going to
Matt
be a launch
Cerny
title,
is the lead
PS5.
architect of this thing again.
It's going to be
It
a
would have been in the
PS5
contract.
launch title. Knack 3. Take it to the bank.
I think there's a high chance on that, no doubt about that. I really do. But I like to say I do think there's a chance of Ratchet and Clank too. At the
I
same
think
time.
that Ratchet and Clank will come. It will come at some point in
Yeah.
in P- on PS5, and I'm really looking forward to it because Ratchet and Clank on PS4 was really really fun. But I think if it's in development, it's not the focus. Like it'll be. I think that like there's a smaller team in Insomniac if they're working on it.
Yeah.
Just purely because I think they want to get Spider-Man 2 out as fast as possible.
Understandable. Which I think is
Um,
going to be poised 2021.
especially since the buyout. Yeah, I don't think like whatever gigantic IP they reveal, if they do, I don't think it's coming out. I don't think it's a launch title. I don't think they're going to launch with. I think they would like to, but I don't think they're going to be able to. And I think whatever it is will come out first half of 2021. I think PS5. I think this reveal event and like the first months of PS5, like both, I think are both going to rely quite heavily on third party. So like third
Probably.
party reveals, third party gameplay and demos at the reveal event, and then at launch, I think it's going to mostly be relying on third parties while they get everything in order, and then they just start blowing us away with Spider-Man 2, Horizon 2, God of War, Ratchet and
Demon
Clank.
Souls remastered.
I think we'll see whatever Blue Point's working on. I don't know whether
Yeah.
it's a Demon Souls game.
Mhm.
um,
And I think there's a chance. I don't know why, but I just have this thinking there's a chance. They want to continue the legacy of this franchise, and I think they want to. That's the next Uncharted game, and I think they could show that. Maybe a sneak, maybe just a little trailer or something like that. Yeah, I think. But obviously, this is like all these like just huge blowout type of things. Obviously, they're gonna want to stagger it and everything. But so it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens with this. But I do think Uncharted's gonna come back eventually, and it
yeah,
would be lovely
yeah,
to see what. Yeah,
yeah. Like, there's tons of
it'll
stuff
be
I could
fascinating.
list where it's like this is definitely going to come back eventually. But
Mhm.
like this summer, I
Yeah.
think isn't going to be like it isn't going to be that one press conference where we got Hideo Kojima and Spider-Man and God of War and like all that craziness revealed all at once. Like
Yeah.
that will happen in the next generation, but it won't be this year where we get something like that. Like there will be a conference or a presentation within the next few years where we'll be like, holy fuck. Stop. It's too awesome.
Stop. You just and everything. What are your thoughts? Because obviously this, I think it was me who tweeted you, or you talked about it to me with it. Obviously, by Daylight are doing some thing with Silent Hill. Rumors of Silent Hill 4 an exclusive to PlayStation. Do you think if it is true, do we see it?
I've heard a lot about Silent Hill over the past couple of months. Obviously, this Dead by Daylight thing happened, where it's like Pyramid Head and Cheryl. Was it Cheryl? I can't remember his character, but there's a character who's gone in Dead by Daylight, and Pyramid Head's one of the killers now.
I think it's Silent Hill's 3-1.
That suggests Heather Mason. That suggests to me, oh, actually both technically, but that suggests to me that something's happening, right? Because you don't just, like, I don't think, like, it's entirely possible they just put it in because they're iconic characters, but I don't think you do that with a franchise that's not been around for as long as it has, especially with the rumors swirling around that they're doing something with Silent Hill. I've heard rumors that Konami are shopping the IP around to sell it.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard it all sorts of different ways. I wonder if, like, the thought that crossed my mind was PlayStation has a history with Silent Hill. That was where it launched on PlayStation 1. Maybe PlayStation were involved with it. Maybe Blue Point's not doing a remake of Demon Souls. Maybe they're doing a remake of the first Silent Hill game. Which might line up with the fact that they wanted to do one of the Silent Hill games they were talking about doing was a reboot. And like a remake of the first game on a modern console could line up with that. I don't think we'll see anything Silent Hill related at all this summer.
This summer, okay, that's
like at all, like at PlayStation's reveal event or anywhere else.
Well, Jeff Keighley's holding it to Game Awards in December.
I don't know. Like it's a tough one because like Silent Hill's been dead for years at this point. Like Downpour was what 2012. Like there hasn't been a Silent Hill game on this generation of consoles. Like
yeah,
PT came and then Kojima got fired and it was a whole thing and like it's been a while since I've even really thought about the potential of a Silent Hill game. And then like Konami would be involved and the last main game the last Pro Evolution game they made was Metal Gear Survive. Do I even want them anywhere near making a Silent Hill game? No, I don't. Like, I really don't. True. Like, so it's not something I've actively thought about. I mean, maybe I would lose my shit. I'd lose my shit either way. If Silent Hill happened anywhere during the summer, I'd go crazy. But I don't think we're gonna see it.
One more thing for me from PlayStation. Do you think we'll see Housemarque's next game? Oh, if I remember rightly, they've transitioned to do like a battle royale type thing, isn't it? I believe.
Housemarque's a weird one. They made, I think it was Stormdivers. I don't think they're making Stormdivers anymore. There was something because I remember I was sort of keeping up with that because I love Housemarque games.
Yeah.
Next Machina, PS4, fantastic game. Like Resogun, Next Machina, Matterfall, 3 fantastic PS4 games. But I honestly can't remember. Like what it was. I know I was getting emails about Stormdivers, and now I haven't gotten any emails about Stormdivers for a while, and I haven't thought to like look into it. But I'm sure I read somewhere they were making something else. I'll be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation straight up buy Housemarque.
Yeah, that's the big thing of that. The surprise that PlayStation haven't done that yet.
Yeah,
but obviously they must. You got to think they must be financially alright viable if they haven't been bought up yet. They must be thinking, no, we're happy with the relationship, but we're okay. But who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Like, I've got a thing on here about Bloodborne 2, but it was just a joke for Twitter. Like, because I need that game in my life so badly, but it's not happening.
Do you think it's gonna? You honestly don't think it's gonna happen?
Ever? It'll happen sometime. This summer? Not with Elden
No.
Ring
Okay.
being a thing.
Do you think that's the next thing we see from them, though, and it's on PlayStation's thing?
It is and not, because it was revealed on Xbox E3
So
last year.
Xbox probably got the
So if anyone's
right
going to
with
have
the
it,
marketing.
it'll be them. It'll be Xbox. The only other thing I've got for PlayStation is Gran Turismo. Like, I don't know whether it be a new one or the one that's already out, GT Sport. Like, I don't know enough about GT Sport. But cars look really good on next-gen consoles. It's really easy to show off how pretty your next-gen console is with cars.
That's true indeed, there's no doubt.
And speaking of cars...
No, I've got one more. I've got one
Go on.
more. And I'm very intrigued to see what you think of this. The game's out. So that means you gotta think, are they ready to show part 2 of Final Fantasy VII?
So I've got something for this.
It's out. Been out for a couple of months, about a month and a half now.
I have an entire Final Fantasy section. If you want to hear it.
Okay, well,
if you want to hear
if you want
it.
to hold off.
We'll hold off on it for now.
Okay, we'll come back to that one.
It might be a
I only shouted
PlayStation
that out
thing.
because it is, at this moment in time, it's more exclusive to PlayStation than anything. Even
Oh,
though
yeah.
it is coming to Microsoft next year.
I have questions about FF7 remake. We'll do a Final Fantasy section. We'll do the Final Fantasy bit now.
We'll hold that. Yeah.
We'll do it now. We'll do it now, and then we'll move on to Xbox and Nintendo. Because I think we are going to see what's next for Final Fantasy. Now, not necessarily Final Fantasy 7, and I don't think it'll be anything more than a tease, but there's a few different directions I think it could go. Like, I think they need to answer some questions about Final Fantasy 7 remake, especially in light of certain things that happen during the course of the game. But also, like, not from a narrative standpoint, just from a business standpoint. So, this game was exclusive to PS4 for a year. From April, whatever, 2020 to April 2021, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not going to come out on the Xbox One. I mean, it will, but, like, it's an Xbox Series X game. But because of the way Xbox works, you can buy it. You'll be able to get it on your Xbox One. Like, I have questions about that. So what happens with Part 2? Is Part 2 going to be exclusive for a year on PS5? Like, is it also going to... It's also going to have to come out on PS4 for the people who bought it there and don't have a PS5. Like, imagine playing it on your Xbox, and then it's like, oh, cool, and then the next part's coming out, but you've got to wait a year for it. Like, it's a different situation when you're in a Part 2 as opposed to when it's just a game. Like, if it's just waiting for a game, it's just waiting for a game. But if it's a game you're already invested in, that becomes an entirely different thing. And I think there's a backlash to that.
Because of how many numbers PlayStation 4 has sold, I think it's going to be just that entire trilogy is going to be cross-gen.
Or if it's more than a trilogy.
That's the thing about, we don't know how many parts there is to this thing.
Yeah.
Is there just going to be one more part after this and that's it? And then just do a giant blowout?
Like, how long is it going to be until the last part comes out? If the last part's not out for 10 years, you're seriously telling me you're going to hold Final Fantasy VII back that far in terms of like graphics and game development to make sure it can still run on a PS4?
Yeah, that is the ultimate question.
This is what I've been thinking about a lot, and I've been thinking about it a lot since well before. Like, FF7 Remake, I loved it. It's one of my favorite games of the year, but it baffles me what Square Enix were thinking, like, long term, when they committed to doing this. Because there are so many ways this could go wrong, and very few ways this could go right in the long run. Because once you get to the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, well, what do you do next? Do you make another mainline Final Fantasy game? Well, what about all the fans whose favourite Final Fantasy wasn't 7? What about Final Fantasy 9 fans? Well, they want a remake. They get a remake? Is that another 10 years? Have you just committed yourself to remaking every Final Fantasy game for the next 50 years? And then what about people who want new Final Fantasy games?
Yeah, when is 16 happening? That's the question.
Like, I don't think they thought this through.
Yeah. They saw money
They just went, we can make a shit ton of money if we do this. And at some point, I feel like this is going to backfire spectacularly on them. It might not be right now. It might not even be a few years from now. But at some point, I feel like this is going to be... There's going to be a moment where making this remake was a mistake. In some way. Because I think Final Fantasy 16 is also in development. But I don't think it's going to be a single-player campaign game. I think it's going to be... if I was making a Final Fantasy 16 and I didn't want to tread on the toes of Final Fantasy 7 Remake, I'd just make a live service game. Not an MMO, not like a traditional MMO, because I've already got one, it's really popular. But something like an expanded version of the DLC that came out for 15, where it made it a shared world. I think they'll make something like that. Their own spin on Destiny, for example. I think that's what 16 is going to be.
Fascinating.
Yeah, but then they've still run into the problem of what do they do after Final Fantasy VII Remake? I have many questions. None of them have good answers.
Because Square Enix aren't talking.
There is also that. They could also talk about spin-offs like Dissidia, World of Final Fantasy, like smaller, different types of Final Fantasy games. But I think we'll get teased with whatever's next for Final Fantasy this summer. Whatever they decide to go with. And I think they've got to quickly answer the question of the next part, Final Fantasy VII, though.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Even if it is just literally an interview where they talk about a potential timeline or like how far along they are on working on it, how big it's going to be. anything at this point, Moody.
Like, Konnichiwa, kanpai, see you in 10 years, bye. What?
Let's talk about Xbox. Let's talk about Xbox. I'm gonna have to put timestamps on this. Let's talk about Xbox for a bit. So they've already had one presentation. We did a whole thing of it on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. They misjudged the how much anticipation to build for it. So they've got 2 more events at least coming up this summer. Plus they're going to be part of IGN's Summer of Gaming. I imagine they're going to be doing the rounds everywhere. Like whoever's doing an event for E3, I imagine they're going to be a part of it in some way. Because they got a lot to talk about, because they have also got a console coming out at the end of the year. So my high-level thoughts on Xbox, I don't think their presentation is going to improve. I feel like the Inside Xbox that we got in May is exactly like all of the other Inside Xboxes we got. Where it's like, there's some cool stuff in there, but they talk too much. Like, just to put it really bluntly, they talk too much. Like, I feel like the content will improve, though. Like, what we actually get inside, the games, the reveals, like, what we actually get. I feel like the July event, which is the one where they're going to blow out all of their first-party games, I feel like the presentation is going to be a bit ropey, but I feel like the content is going to be excellent.
The thing that we want to see is the games, and if they show that, that's all that matters, really, innit? And if they show at least a more significant part of gameplay, or don't
any gameplay,
or don't, yeah, basically, it's gonna be fantastic and everything. I think obviously we know we're gonna see Halo Infinite. It's gonna be either be their first thing they show, or it's gonna be the last thing they show. One of the two, and it's gonna be they're gonna do a big meaty, probably gameplay part of it, showing off certain things and everything.
Yeah, and then it'll be
fascinating.
Here's a demo. Because remember, they're doing demos for people. So,
yeah.
I mean, they'll be like, and you can try it out. Play multiplayer.
And then you and me are hopping straight on it straight away.
Fuck yes. Twitch.tv/wordsabougames. As soon as that thing's downloaded, oh, you better believe I'll be playing Halo for 12 hours. Yeah, I think you're right. I hope it's not the last thing. Like, I want it to be one of the biggest things that they talk about, because it's going to be a launch title for the Series X. But I feel like last things in these presentations should always be something we've never seen before.
That one more thing.
Because that was one of the things that I hated with Well, not hated, but that was one of the things that I didn't click with me for their May presentation was, and then Assassin's Creed's coming up at the end, and it's like, I already know that's coming up at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
Surprise me.
So hopefully they have learned from it, like you said.
Yeah, like make me leave this presentation excited for something I've just seen. Not well, it's Assassin's Creed, which I was excited for. Like if they'd shown like a big gameplay reel, but I wouldn't have been like, holy shit. I would have just been like, cool. It's Assassin's Creed.
So what is that one last thing? Do you think it's Fable?
I think Fable will be revealed finally. I don't think it's coming this year. I think it'll be coming in 2021. I think we'll see Halo, like we just talked about. I think we'll see Forza, which will be a launch title for the Series X. Contrary to what everybody else on these podcasts keeps saying, I think Hellblade 2 is going to be coming out this year. I think we'll see it. Maybe a story trailer for
I think
that.
they'll show a trailer, and I think they'll show gameplay. But I agree with those people. I do think it's probably early 2021. No, personally,
I think it's going to be a launch title. I don't think they would have shot it last year otherwise. Because otherwise they would.
I'll say right now, if that is true, Halo Infinite and that with Forza, that's a sexy lineup to start with. Along with the Game Pass backwards compatibility and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, PlayStation! I'm going to say right now, you got to have something to launch with.
Well, this is what I've been saying for ages. Like everybody keeps poo-pooing the idea that PlayStation needs to have a big exclusive at launch, and I keep saying Xbox has Halo. Like you and I may be tired of Halo, but ordinary gamers who aren't consuming this stuff on a daily basis are not tired of Halo. Like, it may have lost some of its luster and some of its lead to things like Apex Legends and Call of Duty, but it's still a big deal.
Oh yeah.
And if you're telling me, if you are selling me a box that will play Halo, and I only need to spend $7.99 to get that and all these other games, but also the new Halo, come on. Come on. And they're also in the position where, because like they're 50, 60 million units behind PlayStation 4, a lot of people who they could capture from PlayStation feasibly don't have an Xbox at all. So the issue of whether you can play it on a current generation Xbox doesn't apply. Like as much to Xbox as it does to PlayStation. But I do think Hellblade 2, I think by the time the Series X comes out, it's been 3.5 years since the first one. People forget Hellblade's not a long game.
Yeah,
it's an incredibly well-made game, but it's like 4 or 5 hour game. Like, it's incredibly well-made, it's incredibly detailed, but they've had a long time to work on it. I don't think they just started working on it when Microsoft bought them. I think once it was because it was a big hit, ironically, when it launched on PlayStation 4 first. Like, I think they've been working on it ever since. I'd be shocked.
I think PlayStation missed a beat with not nabbing them because they had first dibs on them.
Ninja Theory make great games. They're not blockbusters. They don't sell millions upon millions of copies, but they make great games. They always have. The Devil May Cry was underrated. They made Enslaved. They made Heavenly Sword for PS3. Hellblade just was their breakout hit.
Yeah, it was the one where everyone started to pay attention, because everyone was just like, "Whoa, this is not a AAA game? No, it's actually made from a very small developer."
Yeah,
really.
It was like the last shot at making a game independently, and it paid off big style for them because it was fucking amazing. But to go back to answer your question, now that I've just had that diatribe about about PlayStation and Xbox. The last thing that will be shown, I think, will be the Initiatives game. So this is the studio that was created wholly new by Xbox to make their prestige game, to make their Last of Us, their Uncharted, God of War, whatever comparison you want to make. I think that'll be the last thing they show of the summer. Like of their last stream, it'll be the last thing we see. Some people have said it's Perfect Dark. I've heard some people talk about it might be a Marvel game. I think it'll be a brand new IP. because I think if Microsoft has set up this studio to make their version of The Last of Us or of God of War, like I think they want it to be brand new. If that makes sense, like they want it to be brand new. They don't like. There's
Well,
plenty of
God of War.
IPs they could pull from, like from their back
Yeah,
catalog,
yeah.
but that's what I think.
I understand what you mean. I'll always say new IP all the time. I always want to see something new. Like we're both on the same point on that and everything. But it's going to be fascinating. Like I said, they've already got a working build of it in some sort of way because Phil Spencer's obviously tweeted out and talking about it and playing it and everything. Yeah, I think you know what? That's probably the biggest shout. Yeah, it's either that or it's Fable for me that they're going to drop at the end. It's gonna, and I will probably lean. It all depends how far along that new studio is
Yeah,
really. If it's still probably 2 years out, that the game's not done until 2022, I say they hold and drop and show it next year, and then done up and everything like that. I don't like I said, it all depends. We don't know how far these are along.
yeah,
Like Fable, if it is actually Fable, we do believe going off from the leaks, not the leaks, talks, and the people who they've hired and everything. Not the people divided. This game is probably pretty far along. It's been in at least a minimum of development for about 2 years, if not 3 now. Coming up
Oh
probably
God,
3 years.
me and Fixie used to talk about it on my Xbox and me, so it's got to have been at least a couple of years at this point.
So
But
either way, it's gonna be. I'm excited for this. Like I said,
yeah, I'm excited for this first party reveal because they've got a lot. They got a lot of stuff they could potentially talk about. Like, there's games we know about. There's the Rare game. There's the Obsidian game. I think if you call it Everwild and Grounded.
Is Coalition doing something different, or are they just gonna stick to Gears? Are they gonna show anything?
I don't think they'll be showing anything because of Gears 5 was just came out
ago, yeah.
like wasn't even 2 years ago. It was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was like last September. Last September. It was Gears 5.
Really?
Yep. It was on my game of the year list and everything.
Oh.
Time moves at a different pace during a lockdown. Right?
Oh, wow.
But
No,
I've just blown Moody's
I'm
mind.
a guy who doesn't like Gears that much.
Yeah.
So
like I only got into Gears with Gears of War 4. Like so. Like I'm quite new to Gears myself. But yeah, I don't think we'll see that. Like I think we'll see more Everwild, we'll see Grounded. Might see some stuff their other studios are working on. We'll see Wasteland 3, which won't be out until August, so they'll probably do something with that. Obsidian, what have they been working on since they finished The Outer Worlds?
Did they reveal they've bought a new studio?
I think potentially.
And the reveal is their game.
I think
whatever that is, which we don't know.
I think they might reveal. I think if they're going to have bought a studio, which I think they'll only buy one more, like at most, because I think their expansion phase is over now. I think they've got a set roster that they're happy with. If they were to buy one more studio, it would be a Japanese studio. I think they've been making a lot of good overtures and a lot of good headway with getting Japanese games, not just on their console, but also in Game Pass, which is a big deal for them. But I think they'll either announce a studio acquisition of a Japanese studio, non-Japanese studio, or they'll have an exclusive game to announce from a respected Japanese studio. And maybe this is where Silent Hill comes in.
Persona 5 at long last for people.
Don't think Persona 5 has ever come out on Xbox. I think they'll throw in. I think something will go into Game Pass for the launch of Xbox Series X that they might announce. Like something on the same level of when they said Yakuza was going in or Final Fantasy was going in, where it's like you just look at that and go, "Wow, that's pretty respectable." Muggins bought Final Fantasy 9 a week before it went into Game Pass.
I would have said no problem to that because that's my favorite game.
That's fine. So like, I don't mind, but at the same time, when you buy something and then you look and you go, I could have got it for free.
But it's not free.
I've already paid for Game Pass. It's free for me.
But you still bought it.
Yeah, I did.
Kind of sound like Fixer.
But I own the service. This is this argument I've always had with Fixer. If I already own the service, it's a free game.
Not getting involved.
I paid for it. I paid for Xbox Live Gold for the multiplayer, right? The games are a bonus. It's all perspective. Let's move on. Are you got anything more for Xbox?
No, I'm excited though. Like I said, that I am like with you. I'm very intrigued to see what their July thing is because this gen they got their asses kicked when it comes to their first party. They've been completely outshined by PlayStation, and I'll say even Nintendo. Nintendo have outshined them, and they've only had
Nintendo
the
outshines.
Switch out for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And everything.
Nintendo had a console that only sold 13 million units. They were still dropping banger after banger on it.
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing about it. I'm rooting for them, and I want to see some. So I'm looking forward to it. Like you and me, we'll probably. I would love to know, which I'll be very surprised if it isn't that the Halo Infinite story is going to be like co-op because that'll be a brilliant thing you and me can play.
Oh, it will be co-op. There's never not been a Halo game you can't play co-op.
I hope they stick to that and everything. So yeah, I'm excited. Bring it on.
Like, if it's not... Like, there was a massive backlash against Halo 5 just because it didn't have split screen. They'll definitely include co-op with it because they know what would happen if they didn't. Yeah, let's move on to Nintendo. Nintendo have been talking a lot recently about how hard they've been hit by COVID-19. Their direct that they were planning for June has been delayed. So I think with Nintendo, I think they're going to be cagey this summer. Like, for the rest of this year, I think they're going to be cagey, but for this summer specifically, like, I don't think we're going to see too much from Nintendo because I think a lot of their stuff is internally shifted, been delayed. I think a lot of the plans that they did have, they don't have anymore. I think a lot of the stuff that they were going to do is kind of up in the air at the moment, and that's why they don't want to talk about it too much. I think that's why Paper Mario was suddenly announced on Twitter rather than in any kind of, even a press release, like, or anything like that. I think it was a case of, okay, this is actually ready to go, so let's just get the news out there. Do we even see a Nintendo Direct this summer? That's crazy to think that that's a question that makes you think, right? It's like they might not actually be able to put a Direct on.
They've basically, I'm pretty sure they have come out and says they don't intend to do anything in the summer. No.
Like, I think it's difficult for them. Japan was really badly affected by COVID.
Yeah.
And it does make me wonder, like, if they can even put something out. Like, maybe a mini Direct. Because I think whatever they do, if they do something over the summer, I think it's going to rely heavily on third parties and indies, which isn't necessarily a negative. There are some amazing indie games and some amazing third party games. Though I think third party ports and indie games are going to be what they're having to focus on for the summer. Like Breath of the Wild, like Breath of the Wild 2 is just out of the equation at this point, I think. Metroid Prime 4, I think that's out of the equation at this point. Like, you might see something, like a trailer, just to let people know that they're still there and they're still working on it. But I don't think they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, I was thinking, even like when it comes to their Pokemon stuff, I don't think we might hear some like little direct when it comes closer to like the second DLC or the first DLC is coming out, just to show this is what's going to happen, this is what you can do in certain ways. But they kind of already done that, so I don't know if they're really going to do anything with them. Will they want to are they ready to maybe talk about whatever their next thing for Pokemon's going to be, or Game Freak should I say, which I don't think so. I do think there's going to be a Pokemon game next year, but will it be shown this year? Probably not. Which is incredibly disappointing, but they're still firmly involved with Sword and Shield, so that's not going to happen. Nothing's going to change for that anytime soon. Like this year's, if I remember right, is the 50th anniversary of Mario, or 25th or whatever?
35th anniversary of Mario.
35th. I was in the middle.
It's the same age as me. I was born like a month before Mario came out.
Mario.
Yeah.
The year of Mario.
That's how I always know Mario, because I'm like.
And like, yeah, everything's just been pushed back for them, and it's incredibly disappointing. I don't think we're gonna see anything. they might say something at the end of the year because they need to they speak about something.
Well, we might be in an
Summer, I
entirely
think we're
different
gonna be-
situation by the end of the year. So
That's the true thing. Yeah, who knows what it's going to be like in a couple of months and everything. And they might be like by the end of August, they're like, okay, we're back on track now. Let's get moving. We can do
Here's
something at the end of August or the beginning of September, and show this is what's coming.
Yeah.
See you beginning of the year or something like that. Or they
maybe
can
like
usually hold out to December.
yeah, here's something we got ready for the end of the year, and then here's what we're working on to make 2021 like the best year of Switch. Like
It's probably already been that already.
2020 was 2020. I mean, 6 months ago when we were sitting down to do predictions, 2020 was on track to be like one of the best years ever. And it might still be pretty great, but I don't know if it's going to be the best year ever anymore. But if they do a direct, I think it'll mostly focus on Mario. I think we'll get I think we'll get all the remasters and ports that they were talking about in those leaks from a couple of months ago. But I think they'll be light on everything else first party. There might be some Pokemon DLC. There'll be some Animal Crossing events. But I don't think like major game reveals. The only game I can think of that might be ready to go for the end of the year would be Bayonetta 3, because it's been in development for that long. It's developed at Platinum Games. Someone was tweeting about it. One of the developers was tweeting about it a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. It's that might be ready to go, and maybe that becomes their centerpiece. Which would be great for Bayonetta 3, because like that might blow sales through the roof. But I hope I'm wrong. And Nintendo just come out in July, do a direct, it blows everyone away. It's got everything everybody wants. And that's what I hope. Yeah. But my expectation isn't high. So I won't be disappointed if there's nothing. I mean, I will, but I'll also understand why there's nothing. Or very little. Like it might see just an indies or a mini direct, something like that. Like the one we just got in March. April? With Xenoblade and 51 Worldwide Games. Whatever else there was in there. Animal Crossing, Easter Day. Must have been before Easter, because that was when they announced the Bunny Day. And then Animal Crossing got overtaken by eggs. Okay. Cool.
So that's the big three.
So that's the big three, plus Final Fantasy.
You got any leftovers?
Oh my god, I've got so much to talk about.
Okay, so I'm gonna do my big one right away.
Just get it over with.
Get it out of the way. We know Capcom like to do 2 games a year, ladies and gentlemen. We know Resident Evil 8's coming, but what's the other game? What's the other game?
I love how you just blow past Resident Evil.
Game is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll say this till it's finally announced. They're going to come to whatever generation this game's going to come out, and I'm expecting next year. But the Snyder Cut has revealed us. If you whine enough and complain enough, or scream to heaven in Twitter, you will get what you want, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to be a big old baby. I'm going to cry like all of them. And I'm going to say, Capcom, give me my Dino Crisis remake. 2021. April 2021. Because Resident Evil 8 is going to be January. Bring it on, baby. Perfect time. Come out for Jurassic World Domain.
Oh, yeah, because I'm sure they're thinking about, making sure they have synergy with Jurassic World.
Jurassic World's probably going to be $1 billion movie, so yeah, why the hell not?
If you insist, Mooney, and you keep bringing it up, and I will give you the space to say anything you want about Dino Crisis Remake.
Yeah, I know. I got one crazy one.
Oh, that wasn't crazy.
I don't know. You're a very logical woman, so you're probably thinking this is not going to be crazy. Red Dead 2 port.
For next gen.
For next gen.
It depends how ports even work.
Yeah.
At this point, we know a bit about smart delivery, but we don't know anything about PS5. I've got a list of games that will be ported, like if porting is even a thing that's necessary. Like my main one was Avengers will be PS5, Xbox Series X ported or released or whatever, because there's no point in releasing a live service game in September when new consoles come out in November. Like,
But this is Take Two or 2K.
they're the same company, but it's Take Two. Is
Okay,
is
so-
Red Dead? Take Two is like all the Rockstar stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they'll we need to know how it works for that kind of thing, for ports and stuff, because with smart delivery, in theory, at least on Xbox, you should just be able to put your Red Dead in your Xbox and make it in it goes. I assume
Hopefully.
something similar will happen on PS4 or PS5. Who knows? It's going to take a while for me to get used to calling it PS5. Just on the similar vein, then, while we're on there as well, like I think TennoCon, which is on the docket for the Summer Games Fest, I think that'll be focused on what Warframe is going to do on the next generation consoles, as opposed to necessarily any kind of like expansion or something. But I also think it's going to do what it does every year, Moody, and it's going to get me playing Warframe again. It's becoming yearly tradition at this point. TennoCon happens, and I download Warframe and play it for a month.
So you're like, just when I thought I got out, they pulled me back in.
Well, it's the same effect that Final Fantasy. Every time they show Final Fantasy 14 at E3, it gets me onto the store page on PS4 because I'm always like, why don't I play Final Fantasy 14? And this happens every summer. And then I go on, and then it's like, because it requires a subscription. And it's exactly the same thing, except there's no subscription for Warframe, so I just go, why don't I play Warframe? And then I'm playing Warframe. And I'll be trying to juggle that and Apex Legends. And I'll be like, I don't know what to do. Help. Warframe's a legit game. It's so good. That was a launch title for PS4. That's how long that's been going.
It ended their Gamescom conference, I believe.
Yeah. I played it at EGX and got a bandana, which I'm pretty sure I've still got somewhere. EGX 2013, I played that first time. And I was like, fuck, this is amazing. You run around, you're a ninja, you got a sword, you slide about everywhere. It was novel at the time when you're like sliding around on your knees shooting people, like looking like a badass. It's not so novel now. But I do it all the time in Apex Legends.
That's true. She does, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out at twitch.tv, Words About Games.
Hell yeah. I want to direct the conversation at this next point because I don't think we're going to be talking too much about it. But I think EA Play is going to feel underwhelming. Not necessarily because of the games themselves, but because I feel like we know 95% of what we're going to see at EA Play this year.
Mass Effect trilogy, you think?
Yeah. I think it's either the Mass Effect trilogy or it's Skate 3 remastered or Skate whatever remastered. Because they're talking about like they're doing one HD remaster. It'll be one of those two. Like Dragon Age 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the people who love Skate. They aren't doing Skate.
We'll see.
But just like I've just said, if you just join the Snyder Cut Rebellion, whine like a baby, and you will get what you want. Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, very difficult sometimes.
Dragon Age 4, absolutely. I think they'll reveal a bunch of their partner games. So we might see Joseph Fares' next game. We might see the Unravel studio, whose name escapes me. We might see their next game.
Do you think Respawn will announce that Apex is going to next gen?
I think they will. I think yeah. I think they'll announce their plans.
Will it come cross play?
I want it so badly to be cross-play because there's people I know who I could play with, like, you know what I mean, like trapped on another ecosystem. It's like, and because that's my multiplayer game, it's like that's the one I want to be cross-play, bring everyone over. I can't see them having any surprises though. Like nothing is going to shock me. I don't think.
I think there's one thing that we haven't talked about, and I think we should talk about Anthem. Do you think they bring Anthem?
No.
You think they're holding that off?
I think they need time. I don't think, like, I know we talked about it earlier this year, and I said I wonder
Yeah.
if Anthem 2.0 is going to be a launch title for the next generation consoles, but I don't think that's the case based on everything they've said about it since. So I think it's best to just leave it. Let their other games shine for a bit. Apex Legends is carrying the flag as far as their live service stuff's gone. They've probably got a new Battlefield that they might want to talk about. Even like maybe because this is a year they might talk about it, even though it's not coming out till 2021. Like they've got games to talk about. I feel like Anthem will just suck the oxygen out of the room because they're probably not ready to show it.
Yeah.
I think that would be a
Yeah.
mistake if they did that.
So their biggest IP, Star Wars.
Is anything ready though? They're not making
That's the
Battlefront
thing about
3
it.
at the moment. Jedi's not.
The only thing I can think of, and it's just because the consoles are going to be more powerful to do this. Could we get a Star Wars: The Old Republic port to the next gen?
You mean like the
Possibly.
MMO?
It's free on PC, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. MMOs are
Say it's coming
difficult.
the next gen and it's free and everything.
MMOs are difficult to port to consoles.
Oh, I can no doubt about they are and everything. I agree with you.
Just because it controls, like, if they're built for a PC interface, it's very difficult when you've only got how many buttons are on a controller. You know, like compared to like all the buttons on a keyboard mouse.
I'll just be very surprised if they don't show something that is Star Wars, which is new coming in some whatever way. I know there's a chance that it's going to be way too early or something like that, but I just this is EA. I just feel like they will feel like they need to show something that is Star Wars and it's new.
Well, maybe they'll confirm Respawn's next game, like Star
They'll
Wars
just go
game.
up to the director like they got Andrew Renee and say, "So what's the name?"
Like this is the thing about EA. Like
No offense to her, she did brilliant that night.
I love Andrea Renee. She's fantastic. But this is the thing about EA in that they do things in a way which is usually counterproductive for them, but they still do it. Like I remember the E3 press conference they had that one year where it was literally there was just when they were talking about Star Wars, it was people sitting in front of monitors showing concept art talking about how awesome Star Wars is. It was like the only game they actually showed any footage of was the one that got cancelled, and it's like I could see them doing something stupid like that again, but like they just need I feel like they just need to focus on what's coming out over the next 18 months. Like that's a winning formula for E3. What's happening in the next 18 months? Cool, tell me about it. Show me it. Show me Dragon Age 4. Don't show me Mass Effect because I know you're not ready. I know that's not going to be out for years.
But the new Mass Effect.
Yeah. Don't show me Titanfall because I know that's not going to be out for years. Don't show me Star Wars because I know that's not going to be out for years. Don't
Titanfall's not
just
coming.
just show me. Don't be daft.
Star Wars Fallen Order has told them not to.
There's more than one. Never mind. They're making an entire studio dedicated to Apex Legends, which means that there's an entire like studio of first-person shooter experts at Respawn Entertainment with nothing to do. Don't tell me they're not working on Titanfall 3. Don't tell me they're not working on Titanfall 3. There's no point in setting up a new studio if all you're doing is moving the people from one to the other. But some of them will move, obviously, because they'll want to keep making Apex. But they'll have the bandwidth to make Titanfall 3 within the next few years. But and I don't want to hear shit from the person who keeps predicting that Dino Crisis remake's right around the corner. So, like, just don't show me anything if it's not imminent. And by imminent, I mean, like, 2021. Fall 2021 is the latest, sort of like the end of 2021, where I could say, like, cool, that's the cut-off point. If anything is not going to be ready by then, I don't want to know.
That's fair. And that's basically, I'll say that to, I think that's every studio.
Oh, yeah, I say that to anyone, everybody.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't want to see the coming soon.
Coming in theaters.
Just give me a window. If you say 2021, that's fantastic. And if something happens and you guys have to delay to 2022, that's fine. I can forgive that because delays are fine. That makes you making the game better and everything like that.
But when you show me something that clearly is like when you show me the Dragon Age tease that they showed at the Game Awards nearly 2 years ago, we all knew it wasn't going to be coming for years. Why did you show me that?
Yeah.
Because you knew I was going to hate Anthem. That's why you showed me it. Great, fantastic. But guess what? I still hate Anthem. And now I'm bored of waiting for Dragon Age. So I'm annoyed twice.
True.
Do you have any more EA?
Not for EA, no. You want to move on to Ubi?
Yeah, I want to do a quick Ubisoft one. Ubisoft Forward, it's called.
So obviously we know Valhalla. We're going to see that. Probably going to finally actually see
Actually,
proper
see some
gameplay
gameplay.
that we all want to see. Hopefully. Not in engine. We want gameplay. Probably Far Cry 6.
Yeah. That seems. I don't know. That's a strong bet for their fifth game, their mysterious fifth game that they're going to launch.
We know what they're doing. It's the same thing with Anthem. I think there's a chance this is going to be a pretty lackluster a little bit, personally, just because Far Cry, it's going to be, they're going to show the villain, what's probably going to be voiced by someone that we all have heard and know before, or something like that, and he's going to be intimidating, and he's going to be like, oh, he's so cool, and we're going to be like, yes, can't wait, and everything. But it's going to be the same old type of gameplay, personally. It's not going to...
Maybe.
Which is going to be fantastic.
See, this is what excites me about Ubisoft, because they had that big reset point. We talked about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Earlier this year, whereas they've had this big reset point where they're trying to diverge their games, so they don't all feel the same. Because Breakpoint was a literal breakpoint for like making the quintessential Ubisoft game, right? It doesn't work all the time. So they're not. Yeah.
Go on, sorry, no, it's my...
No, it's great that it was called Breakpoint.
No, I just think it's funny that they had two breakpoints in one generation.
Yeah. But like, yeah, it's like, that excites me because all of a sudden Gods and Monsters might be a different type of game. You know what I mean? Like, it will still fundamentally be an open world action RPG, but it might not necessarily just feel like a reskinned Assassin's Creed, which is what most of their open world action RPGs feel like. Far Cry is just Assassin's Creed with guns in first person. Like, you know, like Breakpoint was just the Division.
Enough time to get that changed?
Again, I don't think they're going to be wholly wildly different, and I don't even think years from now the games are going to be wholly wildly massively divergently different. But I think there are going to be differences. I don't think Gods and Monsters is coming out this year anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. Like, they talk about releasing 3 games this year. I think they'll only end up releasing 2.
What, Valhalla and what, Watch Dogs?
Yeah, I don't think Gods and Monsters is ready. I don't think you release a game called Rainbow Six Quarantine in 2020 anymore. I don't think you do that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
or you rename the hell out of that.
Yeah, and Far Cry is just not going to be ready. Like, Gods and Monsters, and
normally it's an early.
It's an early 20. It's like a March game, but
yeah.
I think those 3 games will be early 2021. Like, sorry, Keith, because I know you've bet the farm on Gods and Monsters, but awkward.
What about? Do we think Mario Rabbids 2?
I mean, I'd love to see something.
If it's going to get revealed anything, it's going to be at Ubisoft.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see something like that. Maybe it comes like I was talking about Nintendo leaning on their third parties a bit more because they've been hit by COVID-19, or maybe Mario and Rabbids 2 gets a shout out during the Ubisoft. Like, just because they're only releasing these 5 games doesn't necessarily mean that those are the only 5 games they talk about. So it's possible. Like, Beyond Good and Evil 2 and Skull and Bones still exist.
That's what I was about to say. Beyond Good and Evil 2. Do you think we see that? Or did he hold it?
I don't know. Maybe to remind people it's still a thing, but I don't think we'll get a big blowout of it until next year because I think they need to give it breathing room, and I don't think you can give a game like Beyond Good and Evil 2 enough breathing room in the same conference that is going to have an Assassin's Creed and a Watch Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And Ubisoft always do a big surprise reveal at the end of their conference, so you got to think that that's going to happen still. So there's 3 big part, you know what I mean? And then it's like, where do you put Beyond Good and Evil 2? Maybe just mention it. Maybe just show a story trailer for it. and then just
You don't even touch it.
do it later.
You know when this is coming out.
No,
If
no,
you say,
they can't.
If they know it's coming out 2020, say roughly they know it's coming out 2021. I say you hold until E3 2021.
No,
and then
they can't do that this time. The problem is the history of Beyond Good and Evil 2, in that it's been down this we've been down this path before where it's been revealed, and then it's disappeared for years. Like, if they reveal it and then they spend an E3, quote air quotes E3, not talking about it, all that anyone's going to be talking about is dead. It's dead. It's gone. It's happened again. It's disappeared. They can't. They've got to touch on it at least. And again, like most of the games, I think you'd be right. But just because of the history of Beyond Good and Evil 2, I don't think they can do. I don't think they can do that. I don't think they can do that.
The thing is, I don't think Beyond Good and Evil is at the tip at the high tier. What I think what people who I listen to and everything like that, and you listen to, have it up to, because I think the general gaming audience haven't got a clue what this game is. I don't even think they even know that it was the first one. That
the
came
general
out
gaming audience barely know what fucking Dark Souls is, man. Like, but like
they don't need to. I don't think they need to sell us. That's why I think they can hold it till next year and do a full out pump out. And if it is coming late next year, if that's their main game next year, that's the perfect time for me is to hold it and put it out, do a full on big splash. Here's the gameplay, big ass trailer. Here's the gameplay, showing you the new and old characters. Then boom, November 2021 or October, whatever, like, next gen. They could do that.
I agree that that's what's going to happen next year. But if they don't want the discourse around Beyond Good and Evil 2 for the next 12 months to be, it doesn't exist anymore, they don't need to do any, like a minute and a half. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not saying they're going to do anything substantial with it, but it can't disappear again because it's disappeared before.
Opening trailers or monologue that shows you all the things that they have, the IPs they own, and they just show it there, and then boom.
Just a story trailer. Just a quick story trailer. Like the reveal, like the original second reveal from E3 a few years ago. But like not like 5 minutes long, like a minute long, 60 seconds. Yeah. Here's something that's going to happen in Beyond Good and Evil 2, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be rad. We'll talk about it more next year. And then obviously their big surprise at the end of the show, which God knows what that'll be. Steep 2. I never played Steep,
and it sold very well.
I never played Steep, but I did. I got to admit, I did enjoy the reveal. I thought the reveal was fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I have one more thing, and that's it for my end, and that is.
Oh, Moody.
Yo.
Oh, I've got so much.
Warner Brothers, just shut up and show your Batman game. Just come on, people know it's coming. They know you're doing a Batman game. Stop doing this tease and everything like that. Just Montreal, just show it.
I mean,
don't know where you show it. I don't care who you show it at. Just come on. I'm sick of talking about I don't want a Batman game. Blah blah blah. I'm just like, just show it. Show me why you want me to buy this game. Stop teasing it. Show me it. Yeah. I want to be excited for this Batman game. I want, like I said when I bitched about it on your podcast last time, I want this game to be my favorite game of that year. That's what I want. Now sell me it. Tell me why this is going to be that. Don't keep hiding it behind your little tweets saying, I will love this or something like that. I don't care. I don't even know what the hell that means. Just show me your bloody game.
See this? This is what happens when your marketing strategy for revealing a game is you tease it a little bit in September and then you don't talk about it. And it's now May. It's now June, more or less.
They teased it, I think, like a couple of more times. They tweeted out. They
did drop the tease in September, and there was some images, I think, later on. But it's just like, this isn't a marketing strategy. This is just going to piss people off.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I said this is just going to piss people off, and here's Moody pissed off. Like, yeah.
I was already pissed off because I'm like, I don't want a Batman game.
Reveal it.
Like, now, yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Now, they need to get it out of the fucking way so we can find out what other studios are working on. Like, what's Rocksteady working on? They're not going to make 2 Batman games.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you working on, Rocksteady? Come on, people.
Rocksteady, Monolith, who made the Middle Earth games. Like, it's been 3 years since Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Shadow
Avalanche? Are
Shadow
they
of
on
loot
Avalanche?
boxes. Like, where's the game? Yeah, Avalanche. Just Cause 4 was years ago as well. Like,
We'll just cause 5 then.
I
That's
hope
it. Done. We're okay there.
I don't. I'm not.
And
I
it'll
hope
come out in
not.
December.
Yeah, probably. I hope not. I hope they do some. They do something different, unless it's what they want to do, in which case, fair enough. But Harry Potter, someone's making
Yeah.
it. Who's making it? We know it's a
Oh,
thing. This is the thing. This is the hilarious thing when a game gets leaked and the company doesn't say anything. It's like, look, dudes, we know it exists. Why don't you just
yeah.
fucking tell us about it?
Yeah, we know that you know that we know that you know.
Yeah, you know that we know, and we know that you know that we know. Just tell us what it is. We knew for
Yeah.
years. We knew for years this was going to be a thing, but they still haven't revealed it. We've known about the Batman game for years, but they're still not talking about it. It's like, man, you know what I love about films? Like, they tell you they're making a film, and then they tell you who's going to be in it, and they tell you what it's going to be about, and then it's like, cool, and at some point there'll be a trailer. Video games are fucking tiring, man, where it's just like, ooh, well, there's the studio, and they're working on something, but they're not going to tell us what it is, because they want to make sure the moment is right for it, and then eventually it gets leaked, and then everyone's like, cool, can you just tell us now? And they're like, ooh, we've got to make sure the moment is right for when we reveal it. And the moment was at 5 minutes before it was leaked.
Yeah.
You've missed the moment.
Mhm.
Just give me some information. Like,
Yeah.
WB have got a lot of studios lined up with question marks, though.
Yeah. And is it all next gen?
I'd assume so at this point.
Yeah.
This gen's only, what, June, July, August, October. It's like 6 months at most.
Mhm.
And it's done. Like, and it'll be cross-gen. Like, every game that comes out over the next couple of
2
years is probably going to
3
be
years.
cross-gen, but these are next-gen games we're talking about. Harry Potter, Batman, Rocksteady, Monolith.
Yeah. Good God.
So that was on my list as well. I say list. That was on my stream of consciousness that all just piled out of me on a nice 45-minute walk in the sun. I think Elden Ring
Well,
will turn up sometime over the summer, and I think it'll be coming out next year. That's the From
probably on
Software game.
Xbox's
Yeah.
thing.
It may be on Xbox's thing. I don't know. It's weird because they've already done their third-party thing, so it's like, well, I don't like. It's hard to know where else, like, what other third-party stuff that they would be able to do. Maybe from like,
Yeah.
but then you've got things like IGN Games, Radar, GameSpot, Jeff Keighley. Like, at some point, somewhere, something will happen, and Elden Ring will be a part of it. And they'll be like, it's coming in 2021. I think the plan was probably to bring it out this year, but COVID happened.
Yeah. Here's a question. It'll be out. It's going to be out in a couple of weeks. And obviously this thing doesn't end until August. Do you think some DLC for Last of Us 2?
No.
Because they did DLC for it.
They did do
Left
Left Behind. It's an impossible question to answer without having played it.
That's true. Like, I won't lie. After playing the first game, I was just like, yeah, I don't even need DLC. And then they revealed DLC, and I was thinking, okay, I still haven't played it. Apparently, it's good though.
I'm gonna play it as part of my retrospective review. It's my plan. But I don't know. I don't know. When was Left Behind? Left Behind wasn't revealed quickly. Naughty Dog have not done much DLC for the games. Left Behind is really all they've done. Like, there was
Yeah, they
Lost
didn't do any
Legacy, and they
DLC
turned
for
that into a
Last-
game.
Yeah, didn't do any DLC for Uncharted.
Yeah, so I don't know if DLC is that thing. Like, I feel like if they might just end up making the next Last of Us eventually. It'll come out at the end of the PS5's life cycle, and then the next one will come out at the end of the PS6's life cycle.
Well, if they do it right, they've dropped 3 games this gen.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4, Uncharted Lost
Legacy.
Legacy, and Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. I'm just gonna start blazing through this stuff.
go for it.
Deathloop is gonna be the main Bethesda focus, because they are saying they're gonna be at a couple of things. I think IGN specifically was the one I saw. I don't see anything else that they've got in their immediate future except Deathloop, which was the game that Arcane Leon was working on. That was revealed last year. I still don't really know what it is, except that it's gonna be weird because it's an Arcane game and they make weird games, and I'm all about weird games. I don't think they're even going to talk about Starfield because I feel like if they had anything substantial to say about Starfield, I think they would be holding their own presentation.
Yeah,
I think the reason they're not is because they've got nothing from their internal game studios like to talk about.
Yeah. Do you think DLC for Doom?
Maybe. I don't think it matters. Like, yeah, for people who love Doom, it matters, but I don't think like the Doom Eternal DLC they might talk about, they might not. It doesn't matter either way whether they do or they don't, because the people who care are the people who are already going to be plugged into it. And I don't know if they want to take up space on an IGN spot or on a GameSpot spot.
The thing is,
to talk about
both
that,
those companies will want them on. They'll want that let them to take the space. So
no, I think they're going to take the space, but I think they'll be talking about a game as opposed to DLC. Like it's a different kettle of fish. I hate that expression, but it's a different kettle of fish when it's not their stage. Like if they were doing a presentation, they talk about, you know what they're like. They talk about Elder Scrolls Online, Blades, Legends, Skyrim DLC, again. Fallout 76, Skyrim's coming out on your toaster. Like like a lot of that stuff probably isn't going to be a lot of that stuff probably isn't going to be anything outside of a press release or a blog post or some tweets or like a trailer that gets dropped on their own channel, stuff like that. Like I think they'll save their spots on shows for Deathloop. Actually, they'll probably announce Doom Eternal DLC on Stadia, right? On a Stadia drop, because that's Stadia, like, seem to think Doom is, like, the biggest thing ever. And it kind of is on their platform, but, like...
Skyrim to Stadia. Or is it already on there?
It's not. Don't give them ideas. But Doom Eternal, like, the last Stadia Direct, which was well after Doom Eternal had launched, the first thing they showed was Doom Eternal. And it kind of set a worrying tone for the entire Direct. That was then followed through on. I think we'll see Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 coming out this October.
Oh, you putting the date on there?
Around about Halloween time, I think. It's got to be out before the next gen consoles, I think. And it's got smart delivery on Xbox. It'll probably have whatever the PlayStation version of that is as well. But if there is a PlayStation version of it, but it'll come out later this year. It was meant to be out early 2020, so. Plus that trailer that was at the Xbox thing was creepy as fuck. I loved every second of it. That was exactly the tone I needed them to hit. I think once the next Control expansion comes out, we'll probably hear some stuff about Alan Wake 2. Or an Alan Wake spin-off of some kind. Like, we won't hear anything before the expansion because the expansion is going to be about Alan Wake. So, like, any potential continuation would be spoilerish for that.
Yeah, when's the expansion coming out?
They said summer, so...
Okay. So that makes me just say they're going to they'll just show a trailer on it and then won't talk about it until next year. Won't talk about it again until next year, probably. That's
like, for me. It'll like, it depends on the timing, right? Like, if it comes out and it hits at the certain time, then maybe they can go to, like, IGN and GameSpot and Games Radar and just be like, cool, here's the thing. Like, here's the trailer, look, check it out, Alan Wake 2. Because Alan Wake was a cult classic. A big cult classic, because very few people bought it on launch, thanks to Red Dead Redemption. And came out on the same day, didn't it? And good job, Microsoft. And like, it's slowly built up, like, its sales numbers over the course of the years has slowly built up. So I think there's a lot of people at this point that would be invested in an Alan Wake sequel that probably like 5 or 10, like 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago wouldn't have cared as much. But now I think there's a lot of people who will care. Plus, if you tie it into Control, which a lot of people also enjoy, in Remedy's weird connected universe of video games, which I'm really looking forward to seeing play out.
The RCU.
Yeah.
Or the RGU, the Remedy Games Universe.
Remedy Games universe. Like, I'm really interested to see what that looks like going forward. I've got down Saints Row 5, possible reboot, because I've been trying to figure out why you would release a really, like, Saints Row 3 remastered on Switch, right? And they put a lot of work into that game, like a lot more work than you normally put into a remaster. And I was like, why though? Like, they didn't need to, and people would have still bought it, and it would have been like fine and well received. And then I was like, Agents of Mayhem was 4 years old, and that's the last game Volition worked on. Saints Row 4 was fucking hell. Was I even on YouTube? I don't think I was even on YouTube when Saints Row 4 came out.
Don't know.
Like,
Never
that's been a long time. So I think they might reboot it though. At this point, start again.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, they've all sold really well. So
Just from a story perspective, because they have kind of destroyed the human race. Like, by the end of Saints Row 4, the planet is gone.
continuity, smartitude.
They've been, well, that's the thing. They did continuity. It's really weird. So, like, in Saints Row 4, like, they do the thing and they're in the simulation and they're being superheroes, and it's really cool. And then they did the expansion Get Out of Hell, which was like a standalone game where they go to hell, and they're still on the spaceship, like, that they were on at the end of Saints Row 4. And it's like, okay, you're doing continuity. That's strange. But they also have access to a time machine. Hence why I think there may be a reboot in the works. Or they're just gonna, or Saints Row 5 is just gonna be this amazing, like, blast through various different time zone locations or whatever, and it's gonna be amazing. Like, you're just gonna visit different timelines.
Yeah, that's what screams out to me. You go into different times. You're gonna go to World War II, World War One.
Be the Saints.
Visit to the dinosaurs, the whole shebang.
That'll be as close as you get to a Dino Crisis. Speaking of Dino Crisis, RE8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer,
I think
right?
someone tweeted out today what a friend of our fixer tweeted, going with the eye emojis. They're expecting a reveal in like the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they are. Here's my theory, because when RE8 initially leaked, before I started getting sick of reading leaks every week, that first leak was that to expect something in May. Now, obviously, it's May 28th, and it's a Thursday evening. It's probably not happening in May, but I think it was supposed to be at the PlayStation event, which was also supposed to be in May. So I think next week, when we get the PlayStation event, we're going to see Resident Evil 8 with an early 2021 release date.
Yeah, I think January.
I want to say January, but I want to give them leeway because, again, of pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It might not come necessarily in January. I think that's what they're aiming for, but we'll see. Like, oh yeah, I forgot I wrote this next one. Something, I'm just going to read what I wrote word for word. Something about Cyberpunk will kick off controversy. I think Cyberpunk is going to do something.
Well, they are doing something, aren't they? What,
yeah.
Next week or the week after?
I think they're going to do something in their gameplay demo, or they're going to say something, or they're going to show something, and it's going to be a kick-off again. Because CD Projekt Red make great games, but they also have a habit of putting their foot in their mouth a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're going to do or say something that's going to have it all kick off again.
Hopefully not. Like I said, they brought that lady in from PlayStation, I believe, from PlayStation All Access. Holly, I believe.
Holly Bennett. Name is. Holly Bennett, yeah.
So I think they'll have her do something with them. Maybe she's the one who's like, so she knows where they want her to go and everything, and make sure that no one puts their foot in their mouth.
Yeah, it's not like,
and gets an angry rant from Amy.
So that the PR might be a thing. Like, might be solid. Yeah. It's the game I'm also worried about. I remember reading about their sex scenes, And CD Projekt Red haven't been good at handling sex tastefully in the past. And these are apparently going to be their most extreme sex scenes. Like I just feel like there's going to be something they're going to talk about that happens in the game, and it's just going to be like a really bad idea, and it's all going to kick off. I don't want to spend too long belaboring the point though. I hope not.
When they are creating a game that is literally that you can be anybody, that's literally saying you can be as diverse as you want, you have to be very careful what you're saying. There's no doubt, because of what any diversity you could offend, and you have to be very careful. So
Yeah, and if you're too diverse, you'll offend all of the straight white men who cry about video games on the internet. Not you, Moody. You don't do that. It's fine. Different type of straight white man.
Not as ruggedly as handsome as me.
Not as ruggedly handsome as you.
Yeah.
I'll forgive you crying about Dino Crisis, because I feel the same way about Bloodborne, so it's fine.
Titanfall 3.
Titanfall 3. I think we might see some Blizzard announcements, because BlizzCon is cancelled. And I don't know that, because if BlizzCon would normally happen in November, and if you have BlizzCon, you have a big event. If they still hold off from doing their announcements in November, they're going to get drowned out by new game console launches. So they might just talk about stuff now while there's space to do so. So, like, maybe they'll be at Gamescom, like opening night live, for example. Like, because they've done Gamescom before. And, like, you got, like, Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 to talk about, so maybe they'll just do it there instead of potentially running the risk of getting their news drowned out by PS5 and Xbox Series X. And hopefully, they won't run over, an entire country this year. That would be nice. just like, the bar isn't very high for Blizzard anymore, is it?
Nope. It's like Bethesda.
Yeah, just like Bethesda.
And EA.
And Activision.
Actually, with Blizzard or Activision, so
Blizzard. Yeah, I was going to say it's Activision Blizzard, isn't it? There'll be a brand new Spyro there'll be a brand new Spyro or Crash Bandicoot game. One or the other.
That'll always be a PlayStation.
Maybe it might just be its own thing. Jeff Keighley thing. Interviews someone from, because that's what they did with Tony Hawk's, and it's Activision again, so maybe it'll be a PlayStation thing just because of how historically tied together Crash Bandicoot specifically and PlayStation are. But
usually, yeah, I agree with that.
Don't worry, Moody, I'm nearly done. Yakuza 7 will be a thing as well. Finally, Sega just signed up to the Guerrilla Collective. They're listed. They're listed as turning up.
Okay.
At IGN, at GameSpot, at Games Radar. I'm pretty sure they were on the screenshot of publishers for the Summer Game Fest. I can't think of anything else they'd want to promote more than Yakuza 7. It's been out in Japan for months now.
Yeah, it's got to be Yakuza.
Yeah, like maybe other stuff like Judgment 2 might still potentially get announced, but I don't see that getting announced until GTGS because it'll be announced in Japan first, because like that's just how games like this work.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like, but isn't TGS been cancelled?
TGS has been cancelled, but they're doing a digital event.
Okay.
Paris Games Week got cancelled outright at the same time because the world is crazy. And that's it.
The end of the world as we know it.
The only other thing I wrote down is high-profile indie games will dominate the release schedule for the rest of 2020, because I feel like there's some really good indie games, and I feel like smaller teams aren't going to be as delayed because of work from home orders than big teams.
That's agreed. Yeah, That'll be like the big push for at least for the next 2 years to cover a lot of the lapses of like little areas where it's going to be quiet because it didn't start building up for at least a good 2 years for when the exclusives started coming out from the big boys like our PlayStation like for the end of the year that they don't really drop anything in the fall anymore.
Yeah, it's all gone a bit weird over the last couple of years, where it's become a bit more impossible to predict. The PlayStation don't drop games in the fall anymore because they keep delaying them.
But
Like,
also they got the marketing for the two big games for each year now, with Call of Duty and FIFA right now. Until that changes,
yeah.
which I'll be surprised if they let that go anytime soon.
Hey, you know what Microsoft did? It could easily get away. It could just as easily get away from PlayStation as it could with Microsoft.
That's true. Microsoft just have to say how much a PlayStation paying you. Okay, so we'll add another dollar on for you. Okay, how about that?
Here's another 100 mil. Here's another billion. They could afford it.
Sure.
If they wanted it back, I'm sure they could. They could afford it. It just depends how long the contract runs for. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. I'm sure there's other stuff. All of the things that I've said probably won't happen. Again, it's speculative. If all of the things that I said happen, if all of the things that both of us said happened, this will be the greatest year of video games forever.
Or at least the greatest year of predictions ever.
And we would be gods.
Yes.
And you must all bow down to us.
Yes.
But that's gonna do it.
The lottery numbers right.
Yeah, and I'm putting the lottery on.
Right now.
With some of the shit I've just said. Let's get out of here, because it's warm and my leg hurts. Where can people find your podcast?
Find it on Podbean, iTunes. I have to remember this. SoundCloud and Spotify. It's Glorious Move Show podcast.
Awesome. And as always, twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. To watch me play games on the most irregular schedule you've ever seen. It's almost like I don't have one. I don't. See you later.
Dino Crisis for the win.
Yeah, fucking dick.